Hey, what is up guys? Okay, today I thought I'd do something different. I'm going to be doing a deck discussion with a couple of tips and tricks for decks that I think are quite popular. Some people may not know how the deck works, cards that go with it, cards that can be used with it that make it a lot better. And today I'm going to be doing Shaddolls. Now, Shaddolls came out in the Duelist Advent, and they pretty much took the OCG by storm. They're basically revolving around fusion summoning, and the main cards are have effects that revolve around flip summons and sending cards to the grave. So first we have Shadow Hedgehog. He is a spellcaster type, and his flip effect is you can add one shadow spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. Then, if it is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can add one shadow monster from your deck to the hand. And essentially, all of these Shaddolls have this have a flip effect and a card and a sent to the grave by a card effect. So, and all of them have it so that you can only use one of the effects once per turn and only once per turn. So they're right. So I'm just like stating it. So and next we have. So yeah, that just to make sure they are all spellcasters. So Wonder Wand, thinking about it, is another one that could work with this deck. So the second one is Shadow Dragon. His flip effect is you can target one card your opponent controls and return that target to the hand. So essentially a compulse. If this card is, and his card effect is, if this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can target one spell or trap card on the field, destroy that target. So it's essentially a compulse and an MST. We then have Shadow Falcon, who is a tuner, level 2 tuner, whose flip effect is you can target one shadow monster in your graveyard except Shadow Falcon and special summon that target in face down defense position. Basically setting up your combos in future. And his card effect is if this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can special summon this card from your graveyard in face down defense position. Then there is Shadow Lizard, whose flip effect is you can target one monster on the field, destroy that target. If this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can send one Shadow card from your deck to the graveyard, except Shadow Lizard. So this is essentially your destruction card. We then have Shadow Beast, who is the main draw engine of the deck, where if he's flipped face up, you can draw two cards and then discard one. And I'm pretty sure that this discard one card effect will trigger other shadow monsters if they discard it. And his card effect is that when you set up the graveyard by a card effect, you can draw one card. We then have the main fusion spell of the deck, which is Shadow Fusion, which the main effect is you can only activate one Shadow Fusion per turn. Fusion summon one Shadow Fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or side of the field as fusion material. And then there is this effect, which pretty much makes this card OP, which is if your opponent controls a monster that was special summoned from the extra deck, you can also use monsters from your main deck as fusion materials. Holy smokes. This can basically clear fields, set up graveyards, draw cards. You can pretty much use any of the previous Shaddolls effects when this happens. We then have the it's cool. It's a good card. And then Shadow Roots, who is a trap monster, whose effect is special summon this card as an effect monster, spellcaster type, dark, level 9. Attack and defense and whatnot. And then its main effect is if special summoned this way, you can substitute this card for any one attribute fusion material monster listed on a Shadow Fusion monster. As this was released in the initial debut of Shaddolls, this led everyone to believe that we're going to get multi-fusion you're going to get multi-fusion fusion monsters. So we're essentially going to get a dark, a light, an earth, a water, a wind, and a fire. So so using Shadow Roots is going to be amazing. We then have the boss monsters of the deck, which are the 2 fusions released at the moment. Firstly being El Shaddol Midrash. Now Midrash is probably the main go-to card in this deck, as it requires 1 Shadow monster and 1 Dark monster, which is essentially another Shadow monster. He must first be fusion summoned, and he cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects, which helps a lot. His main effect is neither player can special summon more than once per turn while this card is faced upon the field. And then the last effect all Shadow Fusion monsters have, which is if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 Shadow spell and trap card in your graveyard, add that target to your hand. So it's essentially recycling fusion or roots. And we then have the secondary boss monster, which is El Shaddol Nephilim, I believe it's pronounced. And Nephilim is a light attribute Shadow monster who is fairy type, not spellcaster. Requires 1 Shadow monster and 1 light monster, thus hinting like the multi-elemental. Must first be fusion summoned, and then its main effect is if this card is special summoned, you can send 1 Shadow card from your deck to the graveyard, thus setting up your graveyard once again. It then has another main effect, which is at the start of the damage step, if this card battles a special summoned monster, destroy that monster, essentially making it some sort of a catastor against special summoned monsters. It then has the last effect to recycle Shadow Fusion. And then I put in a section where it's cards that work well with this deck. So cards that can get effects and whatnot. So first one is Attack Defense Changer, who is a light target for Nephilim, and he can be used to activate flip effects of the Shadow monsters during the turns that they're set. So you can essentially set Falcon, attack AD Changer, Falcon effect, special summon Hedgehog from your graveyard in defense, in face down defense, and then go plus from that. And the second is a Lightsworn Wolf. Now positives are he's a light target for Nephilim, but the main positive is when this card is sent to the graveyard for a fusion summon, he's special summoned if he's sent from the deck to the graveyard. So due to Shadow Fusion's secondary effect, where if they have a monster from the extra deck, you can special summon, or you can use fusion materials from your main deck, he's special summoned after that resolves. Only negative about this card is that it's not good if drawn, so it's essentially a dead draw. Then we have Dark Grepher, who is a dark target for Midrash. He can also be special summoned by discarding Shadow Beast, thus triggering his effect to draw a card. But it also leaves room for setting a Shadow monster, which can then be used to get its effect through AD Changer. And he can also be used to set up the graves with Shaddolls, which is the main purpose of Grepher. We also then have another monster who works essentially the same, and that is Armageddon Knight. So Armageddon Knight is, when he's summoned, send 1 dark monster from your deck to the graveyard. All the Shaddolls are dark, so they'll always get their effects. Another dark monster that I've put on this can be used is Necrogardener. Now, Necrogardener is another dark target for Midrash, but he can also negate attacks. So if we go back to Midrash, you'll see that he can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects, but he is exposed to being destroyed by battle, as his attack stat isn't all that best and his defense stat is atrocious. So with Necrogardener, he can be protected for 1 turn. Hence why I've put Necrogardener. And then the final pièce de résistance to this video, a little personal tech of mine, is Super Polymerization. Super Poly allows you to use your opponent's monsters for fusion summons. Now this is going to be broken when we have all of the elemental fusions for Shaddolls. So no matter what your opponent summons, you can just send your Shadow monster to the graveyard, special summon that specific fusion, then get your Shadow monster's effect. And another majorly important aspect of this card is your opponent can't chain cards in response to this. So you're essentially going to get a fusion monster out, and then if you have Shadow Fusion in your grave, you're going to be able to get it back. So yeah, I hope this video helped you guys with Shadow. So like, comment, subscribe, I do intend to be doing this every Thursday, so yeah, I just like to thank you all for watching and see you later. Bye.